Hi, this is Diane Donnelly with the Donnelly Group of Keller Williams. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about short sale secrets revealed and how to stop a foreclosure in 48 hours. Let's start with what a short sale is. It is basically when a seller has found himself in a hardship and needs to ask the bank to accept a payoff less than what they actually owe. So in other words, if you owe the bank $300,000 and the market doesn't support that, and you can only sell for $250,000, there's a $50,000 deficit, which is the loss. And that's keeping things very, very simple because there's additional fees that could be tacked on to that, but that's the general basis of a short sale. On this screen, we're going to see what the life cycle of a short sale is, and I'm going to talk with you about each different phase of the short sale and the process which a general short sale would go through. The first part is to get qualified. This is very, very important. If you don't have a hardship, you shouldn't do a short sale. A hardship could include a divorce, a death of somebody in the family, an illness that has caused a great deal of debt, a loss of a job, things of that nature, a divorce, but something that has put you in a position to be unable to pay your mortgage. And you would sit down with a realtor to discuss your situation, and he will determine if a hardship exists and if the bank is likely to approve a short sale based on the information that you give to him. The next one is to gather documents. There's quite a bit of information that's going to be necessary. You're going to need 2 years W-2s, 2 years of tax returns, 3 months of bank statements, 3 months of pay stubs. You'll need a hardship letter to delineate why it is you are facing a hardship, and you'll need an authorization letter giving your authority for your realtor or a third-party negotiator to facilitate with the short sale. In addition to those documents, you'll also need to fill out a regular listing agreement for the realtor and some bank-specific paperwork that may be required. You're going to list your home with a realtor, a qualified realtor. It's very, very important. This isn't the time to, ask your neighbor down the street who only sells one home a year if they would be willing to work with you on this. A short sale is very, very difficult. It's very different than a regular sale, and it needs to be listed by a person who knows how to navigate the rough road ahead. You put the house on the market and you receive an offer, and you're still the seller, so you will sign off on it if you like the terms of the offer. Once you sign off on it, it gets sent to the bank or to the banks, and we're asking them for their approval on it. This is the part that takes a very, very long time. We're going to send it. Some agents want to facilitate on their own with the banks, and some agents send it to a third-party negotiator, and the third-party negotiator negotiates the contract from beginning to end until you go to settlement. And again, this is the part that's going to take some time, and we ask for your patience. There's a lot going on. We are your first point of contact often is the loss mitigation department, and they have to try to get the most money for the bank that they can, but they are not generally the decision maker, so there's an entire process that needs to go through in order to get the decision made by the end user of the bank. Once all of that happens, the bank could say, yes, we're going to accept the offer, no, we're just rejecting it, or we're going to counteroffer. A lot of times it is a counteroffer, and once that happens, then we would go back to the buyer's agent and let them know what the status is and negotiate from that point, come up with an agreement, and then the banks will accept or decline. Assuming that the bank does accept, they're going to send an approval letter. and this is where you would review the bank's terms and conditions. This is a very important step that I always encourage homeowners to take the approval to two different professionals. One would be your accountant and one would be your attorney. You want to make sure you understand any of the consequence or circumstances within that letter. You want to make sure you are aware of the financial implications as well as the legal implications. And realtors, for the most part, are not attorneys. I certainly am not, and I cannot give legal advice, so I always encourage people to take them to those two folks, and they can lead you in the right direction. Once that's agreed upon, then the buyers are going to do their home inspection with the full understanding that it is typically the home is being sold in as-is condition, and that no repairs will be made for the most part, and you want to get them started to get their final loan approval so that we can prepare for settlement. Once the bank has given their decision, you're ready to go to settlement, and all of a sudden it becomes a rush on the bank's part, and they want you to go to settlement within 30 days. And so that part is a push, and that's a big congratulations for you, because now your hardship is going to be behind you. The home is going to be sold now. You can start anew. And, in some cases, I have seen people buy a home after a few months of a short sale, up to a few years after a short sale. It depends on how the bank determines what they're going to say to the creditors when the creditors ask how the loan was paid off. There's some specifics about that. So I hope that this gives you a little bit of insight into a short sale, what it is, how it works. And I want to leave you with one thought. A lot of people ask me, well, why in the world would a bank be willing to do that? And the reason is simple. It is not because they're altruistic or they feel badly that you have gone through a hardship. It is simply the math. It is more lucrative for them to accept a short sale rather than you going into a foreclosure, because there's so many additional fees, and the market perceives a foreclosure as the opportunity to really get a very good deal, and the offers are generally much lower. Additionally, the more non-performing assets that a bank has on the books, the less money that they're able to lend out, which is where they make their profit. Additionally, if there are too many non-performing assets, which is a short sale or foreclosure, if they have too many, they can be audited, which they and all of us like to avoid. So here on this screen, you'll see, as a bonus for joining me today, if you go to my website, getshortsalesold.com, you can download immediately a free report about short sales and the process. And on this screen, you will see my contact information. Again, I'm Diane Donnelly with the Donnelly Group of Keller Williams. I am a certified distressed property expert. I have information here in different ways to reach me. You can call me on my cell. You can call me on my office. You can go through either of my two websites that you see here, getshortsalesold.com or tdgmoves.com. If you're not in my local area, I would be happy to do the research for you for finding top realtors in your area that are successful short sale experts. So please feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to help you with that as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.